This is a little out of place for us. The second half, you had Evan kind of slide over to the one, and you had Gerald in that with that group, and it seemed you guys off to a great start, 9-0 run. What, from your perspective, was the key to that great start to start the third quarter?
Well, we actually missed a couple of offensive possessions right at the start of that quarter. I think Evan missed a open 14-footer, and Sully missed a couple layups, a tip in, and another layup down the lane. So we actually were playing better than we were scoring. I felt that way most of the game offensively. Thought we just came out of the gate, missing shots, but we were open and we had good looks. And guys were playing at a nice pace offensively most of the night. So the reason I didn't start Marcus in the second half is just because he has 3 fouls, and I didn't want him to pick up his 4th, and then we're in a pickle because I wanted him to play a lot of minutes tonight, just because it's his first time out, and he's a young guy that's going to play a lot for us.
What are just your thoughts on that tandem, him and Evan at the point?
I thought they did a pretty good job. I mean, Evan's stats are great, and 6 to 2, 15 and 10. That's awfully good. Marcus didn't shoot it as well as Evan, but Marcus's value and what Marcus does to affect the game is going to be hard to find on a stat sheet in a lot of games. I mean, he's so tough defensively, and he's one of these guys that I think will get stronger as the game goes along defensively, and that's hard to play against for the whole time.
What are the things that makes Marcus Smart so good on the defensive end at only 20 years old?
He is exceptionally hard to screen, and when the ball's in front of him, he's as good with his hands as anybody. So he still has to learn, NBA actions that he's going to see all the time, and the lingo, and recognize, be aware off of the ball. Playing against New York this week will be completely different than playing against Philly tonight. Philly runs a ton of great stuff. Brett does a great job with that offense. They cut hard off the high post. They set you up and flare you, which we laid on about 10 times tonight. And but then you'll play against a lot of the triangle concepts on Wednesday, and so these are great experience for these guys. And he'll learn a lot in the next 7 games.
What are you learning about Evan's versatility?
Well, I think that's who he is, Mark, and that's who he's got to be. I think that he can be better than he was tonight, but I think he played well, and he's been pretty good in practice. He was not as good in the scrimmage the other night, and I think he was pretty hard on himself. But I thought yesterday was his best practice, and he followed it up with a very good game tonight.
What did you see from James tonight? It seemed like he kind of found his stroke a little bit there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was pretty good. Now, I do think that he can shoot the ball better. 1 for 5. He's got to shoot it a little bit better than that. But he's a good athlete. He can run the floor. He can get the spots. He can shoot the ball. And the thing that he probably does as well on offense as anything else is he makes simple plays. When he gets the ball, he either shoots it, gets rid of it, or drives it. And this league and us put a premium on those movers. And he certainly has a nice feel to be a ball mover.
You've been talking about the different aggression and trying to emphasize pace and space. Obviously, you guys are playing a different style tonight than you played last year, pressure in half court and all that. What did you think of the first time showing that against an opponent?
Well, the last 3 quarters we were pretty good defensively. The first quarter, I don't think we were as bad as they scored. Hollis Thompson hit some shots, and credit him for that. And I think Casper Ware hit a really tough shot, off of a screen. And but good players make shots, and then you move on. And but I thought our aggressiveness was good. We can get into the ball. And, our guards have an ability to get into the ball that's very good, and even our guys that aren't as good at it are trying, and that's a good thing at this stage. I mean, at some point, Jay, I think you can back people off, but I don't know if you can turn them up. And so you start up, and then you can back off later if you need to.
You mentioned that yesterday was Evan's best practice, and tonight he took more steps forward. What exactly has changed as compared to the first 4 or 5 days of camp?
Well, he was good most of the first couple days of camp, but he for whatever reason he struggled a little bit in the scrimmage. But he's, you know, I do think, I don't know if we have a person that watches more film than he does, and he wants to be really good. And you know, when we signed Evan, one of the things that I was most excited about was I know him, so I know what he's about. I know his makeup. I know, you know, that all the good things that he can do on a basketball court, and I think that you add that to a little chip on somebody's shoulder, and maybe you know usually can add up to pretty good things with his work ethic. He works hard.
How difficult is it for a player like him to come into a new team and have the ball in his hands so often, kind of the offense is running through him?
Well, you know, he had the ball in his hands most of the first 6 days of practice, and then I started him at the 3 tonight. So unfair to him, but the way the world works when Jeff can't play or you know, Rondo's out, and you just have to kind of figure it out. It's going to be great for Marcus Smart and Evan Turner to have to play with the ball, you know, until Rondo gets back, and then they can if you need them to.
For his size, Turner's you know, one of the better rebounders in the NBA. Just for him to come in, how much of a bonus is that for you guys? You know, obviously you guys struggled a little bit with rebounding last year. To have a guy that small that can do that much damage on the boards.
Well, we're not big, you know, interior-wise versus all relative, right? I mean, Kelly's a pretty big guy when he walks around the mall, but he's not relative to his position in the league, and so a lot of times those guys are going to have to be block-out guys, and the guards are going to have to rebound. And so Evan should be able to, you know, when you're guarding or you're playing the point or two, a lot of times teams don't send those guys to the glass, so you can just pursue the ball. So if you have a knack for it, or if that's something you do naturally, that helps.
Coach, last year you talked about with Jordan Crawford not having kind of preconceived notions about him, and Evan Turner, another guy that's had problems publicly, so to speak, but same thing there. Do you care about the whole preconceived notions with the player, or is it really just about what you see when you interact with them?
I mean, I think you pay attention to what people say, but I think you've got to. I don't think you can be. I think you have to do your own math and your own homework on it. And yeah, I coached under a guy that really believed that you soar with your strengths, and he's got a lot of strengths, and so it's our job to help him find those within the flow of the game. And so, you know, I think, hey, we don't have necessarily an MVP candidate on our team as far as going and getting baskets and scoring, right? So we've got to all work together within our strengths to be the best team we can be, because we're not gonna win an isolation game, you know, over and over and over.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks.
Thank you, folks.